Day.
Perfect weather. It's not hot.
Yeah,
Yeah, I really can't stand the heat.
yeah. I
Bright
enjoyed this
sun.
weather myself. This is good weather.
It's perfect weather for shooting.
Hmm.
And I see that you're wearing shorts. And I
Yeah.
have a question for you.
What's that?
How many days can you get out of those shorts before you gotta throw them in the laundry?
um. Well, let's be honest. Sometimes I wear, I have several pair of shorts, and sometimes I kind of wear them around the house, like lounging type clothes, pajamas more or less. And I mean, they're good for a good week or so, like that. But if I'm wearing them out and I'm being active, obviously there's a whole nother there's a whole nother thing happening there. And so maybe just one day. I usually wouldn't wear more than one day like that, especially if I'm out bike riding or doing some walking or something. Human body has pores everywhere.
Yes, it does.
And let's just say my pores pour. No pun intended.
Especially in this weather, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, which is why today is good.
Yeah. Oh, it's a good day for them. They're comfortable, but yeah, you won't see them tomorrow.
Yeah, so tell me, what's up, Chuck? That's the name of your podcast.
Yes.
And are you able to do that right now during COVID?
I have been working on several projects since the beginning of it back in March, and quite frankly, it's been a little. It hasn't been difficult from a technical perspective. I've been able to get lots of material, but as far as editing and just being in that mindset where I can actually sit back and focus on what I want to do, that's been more difficult for me than actually getting material or content. I used a lot of Zoom and those types of platforms to do interviews, once again, all over the United States, and some other projects that I've been working on. I'll get inspired and I'll get into it for a day or two. But when it comes down to the editing portion, that's been taking quite a bit of time and focus. And with all this craziness going on in the world, it's been very difficult for me to just focus. COVID gave me ADD.
I already have ADD,
Oh, I'm
and
sorry.
this did not help. Yeah, it really doesn't.
Good morning. Good morning.
If I have deadlines, if I have people around me with expectations, I have the energy of the other people to feed me and to motivate me and keep me moving. And when I'm at home, I have my normal morning sluggishness that takes hours to wear off. If I have to leave the house in the morning, I'm gonna be wide awake in half an hour.
Right.
I do have a lot more energy now, though.
Really?
When I'm going out all the time, right now, even though I came here, when I get home, I will be really tired. Just one little thing. And I don't know what I was doing before, because I generally work from home anyway. I'm a realtor.
Okay.
I get to Toastmasters. I go to people's homes.
Okay.
I do one-to-ones, Starbucks, that sort of thing. But I don't know what was taking all of my time before. It's kind of a mystery to me now.
Wow. Now that you mentioned it, I'm thinking about it myself, and you're right. I mean, yeah. Yeah. But I guess, and then that says something about how we take for granted being at home. Being at home is more than just being in that space. There's a certain way, a behavior that comes along with being at home. First of all, you're much more relaxed. It's the safest place in most cases, it's the safest place, so you're going to be more relaxed. And as you get relaxed, the reality is that we do run a lot and we get tired. And when we're at home, it just tends to kind of bring that out. You feel secure, you feel relaxed. So you may be more lethargic in a home setting. Funny thing about it is, I feel the same way when I go to like my mother's home, my sister's home.
Hmm.
So it must be the mindset that comes along with being in a very comfortable uh,
Yeah.
place, possibly.
I always like to say that it's the energy of other people that
Hmm.
sustains me.
Oh, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Well, home, I mean, and also, let's be honest, there's duties that we have at home as well. So home is, you can say I go to work and then I go home, and then people automatically assume that when you leave work that your duties are over because you're at home. But then you have specific duties that you have to do at home in order to keep the home functioning. So,
Yeah.
so it's just a second job in
I
that
find
sense.
this really hard to coordinate, and not just now because of COVID,
Mhm.
but all along because I do work from home,
Mhm.
and I don't want to do the dishes because I have work to do. And sometimes I plan to do this particular project today, and then I end up showing houses, and then I end up with this huge imbalance
Mhm.
where my house is a mess and I can't stand it anymore. But if I spend the day cleaning it, then I won't get any work done. And it's hard for
Right.
me to get those things just right, especially now when I have so little energy and I'm trying to conserve every energy I have.
Mhm.
If I go down and I start cleaning in the kitchen, I won't be able to move for 3 hours with the arthritis. And that takes the energy away from the projects that I should be working
Mhm.
on
Mhm.
and don't as much as I would like to.
Yeah, and so
Yeah,
I think once again, it's focus
it's focus.
and motivation. I mean, there's no motivation for me without any type of focus. I got to be focused on it. So,
Yeah.
but it's all relative. And also, I think that we can't underestimate that with so much going on in the world, with so many things, that that stress does take a toll on you physically, psychologically. It wears you out. So I would presume that people probably.
Like, I have had this saga of masks. That's what I only thing I posted lately.
Hmm.
I've had such a hard time finding masks that work for me, that fit my face,
Hmm.
etc. And every time I get a new one, then I try it on, and I've been posting it on Facebook. It's just funny though. I feel like I'm complaining, but I'm not. I'm just kind of documenting my masks, but they really don't fit me. I bought this mask that's supposed to fit a 3-year-old,
Hmm.
and it falls off. It slips and it ends up it slides down. It's hitting right on the nose right there, so it's squeezing my nose. It's horribly uncomfortable. It's funny. I can't wear it with my hearing aids though. It will knock my hearing aids out.
Well, I'll talk about masks a little bit. So, one of the and I carry a mask wherever I go, and I have some in the vehicle. I really like the simple ones because I can keep them in my pocket. I've even gone into places and realized that I didn't have it on and said, "Oh, you know." So I have a really simple philosophy about it for myself. I understand your position, and if I were in your position, I would probably be exactly the same way. For me personally, it doesn't cause me anything but a trivial inconvenience. You know, it doesn't cause me any type of physical damage that I'm aware of. It definitely no pain, and you know, I think that it's more of a statement towards other people saying, okay, I'm not trying to present a situation where I'm harming you,
Yeah.
and vice versa. I have it, but whenever given the opportunity, I will not wear it. I will not wear it.
Yeah.
But I have encountered some people that have been telling me some horror stories about this COVID 19. I met a woman recently, and she scared me to death. Talking about two friends that she had, not not a friend of a friend of a friend, friends, two, one 48 years old and one
The
54
people
years.
you know personally.
No, I don't know
You
her.
don't know them. Okay.
She knew them. They were like close friends to her.
I have yet to find someone I know personally.
Well,
That's why I was asking.
Well, let me tell you, I as well, and I did 5 interviews via over the phone. Maryland, Delaware, Pennsylvania, Atlanta, and Texas. And out of those people, no one knew of anyone that had caught the COVID-19 virus personally. The closest I came was I interviewed a preschool teacher, preschool teacher who said a friend of hers aunt. She never met the aunt. But that was the closest that anybody that of those 5 people all over the United States had encountered. So I'm like, yeah, that's pretty weird, right?
Get it anyway.
You know what I find really funny, and I had to check myself because I was saying, man, I don't know anybody that has it. This is all just a big gimmick or whatever, a conspiracy, and so on and so on. And why don't I know anybody that has it, and why does anybody that I know don't have it, or they don't even know people that have it, as far as my family and friends, my close circle. And then it hit me one day, and I really had to apologize to God and to the universe. Maybe I'm just blessed. Maybe I'm just fortunate that I can say that I don't know anyone that has it. And it's something that I'm taking for granted. I'm using it as my fighting credo. I don't know anybody, but I'm thinking now at this juncture, I'm like, I feel fortunate, I feel blessed that I don't have it, and I want to just keep it that way. And that's kind of where I'm directed right now. I was in the drugstore getting some medication, and a guy and I had my mask on, and I mean, this guy just became irate. Yeah, they're just keeping us slaves with, fear mongering and da 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 da. And I'm going, and I let him go on and on. He literally wanted me to take my mask off to appease how he felt about it. So I took my shirt and I pulled it down, and I showed him this big scar going down my chest from open heart surgery. I said, sir, I hope that you are correct. I hope that you're correct and that I am wrong. However, I don't want to wake up on an emergency room table to find out that you're wrong.
I really have a problem with people taking an issue with the freedom aspect. Because if you're going to say, I can't wear a mask, then you're taking away my freedom to wear it. You're doing the same thing if you're saying don't wear a mask.
I agree.
I just, it's like going and fighting for, Black Lives Matter, right, and destroying all the property. What are you doing? What is the point of this?
Right. Well, you can't protect your freedoms by taking mine.
Yeah.
And that's basically what it boils down to. You can't protect your very own freedoms by taking mine. I mean, it's got to be give and take.
I saw something on YouTube last night. It was a channel where they catch the scammers in action by setting them up, essentially. And they went to this mailbox delivery place where they wanted where they had taken a package to be picked up by the scammer, which supposedly had money in it, and they needed the store owner. They wanted the store owner to be in on it with them, and they went in there. And now remember, they're socially distanced, so the owner's over here. They're standing behind the counter, so they're talking loud, and I felt like they were pretty assaulting by how they were explaining, oh, we have a YouTube channel, we're catching, then they're just going, just explaining it all at once, and I'm like, whoa.
Right.
And I am a young person. This was an old guy on the other side of the counter, and he actually called the police on them because he felt he was being assaulted. It kind of felt like that to him. And I mean, they were able to get the police on their side and everything. That was not an issue. I just kind of wonder though how you get business owners to cooperate with you if you go in there and you just start, just go launch right into the story
Mm-hmm.
and don't give them a chance to process why you're there. Maybe it's more of a time you say, oh, can we talk to you about something? We have something really important. There's a different way you can approach this.
Absolutely.
And I think Toastmasters is a pretty good deal.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, as I was mentioning about that particular, and anytime I see, when I did go to college, I was majoring in English. So anytime I see something that is English related, it definitely attracts my attention. Uh, but I found that Toastmaster is uh, bang for buck. You get so much information, so much skill that you really wouldn't know. I mean, you literally have to major in English to see what you're really getting, and the way that they do it is so smooth. It's so smooth, and it's just user friendly. I think it's awesome. I'll be honest with you, and it's not too intense. It's at your pace, and I've grown so much just by having the opportunity to speak on occasion, and I mean, it's just, you can't say enough about it. I'm really excited about going into this new year, so to speak, with new positions and everything. I got some really super ideas that I think is going to really improve our club, and we're going to have some fun with it. And I'm even excited about us getting together with Andy and talking about this open house thing. I think it's a good combination, a good collective of people. And, yeah, I don't want to get too into that.
Yeah.
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 I'll go on, Deb. So.
Anyway, Toastmasters would be valuable for a lot of YouTubers.
Mm-hmm.
It's certainly valuable for me. I started it because I was hosting a live radio show, and that is a good training in and of itself. Just
Right.
having to keep that show going and to have enough content to fill the hour. Like when the guest, you have a podcast. Have you spoken to the guest and you have 4 questions, and you ask them one question and they ask all 4 of them, answer 4 questions at once, and they do it in the way that wasn't how you were kind of planning on bringing it out. All those little,
Nuances,
skills, those little nuanced skills, which I still need to get so much better at now that I'm YouTubing again.
I did an interview, and I had my script written out and everything, and I had the order of the questions that I wanted them answered, and it was a Zoom interview, so it was really important to me to get the questions answered in the order that I had them, to minimize the time that I would need in post production. And I asked one question, and this individual just went off, and I found, and it looks bad during the interview when you say, just hold that, we're gonna get to that in a minute, and I felt really bad because I was enjoying them being that comfortable to just carry on with the conversation, but it was a nightmare trying to edit that, because you know what I had to do to edit that? I literally had to go back, find the spot where they were answering the questions, and then put my voice in asking the question so that it would be a back and forth. Because other than that, it was just them, So yes, I have had those situations happen, and it can be quite daunting.
Yeah. So how's your life at home now? I imagine your wife is at home too.
Yeah, it's been great, and it's been challenging at the same time. We're so accustomed to being really busy now. I think one of the things, surprisingly, that worked to our advantage was, I've been ill pretty much for a few years. So I've been spending quite a bit of time at home at any rate, you know. But they and because of my particular illness, uh, I really wasn't aware of how much they were tolerating um, me and dealing with the issues that I was having because of my problems. Um, and so I was kind of taking that for granted. And the fact of the matter is, like, my wife would leave and go to work, so she was relieved from that for at least 8-10 hours a day. My daughter going to school, different things of that nature. But then just being at home constantly 24/7 and me still having those same issues. Like, I've had tremendous memory loss, frustrating
Is that
memory
from
loss.
your stroke?
Strokes, yeah. And it was something that I really wasn't even aware of, because we didn't have as much time to engage in conversations uh, before. Now we can have a conversation and they get pretty intense, and it's like, oh, remember when we did this? And I'm like, what? And everybody forgets things that happen in their life, but we're talking about monumental things, paramount things, like life-changing things. And it's like, when? What?
Hmm.
And then I get so frustrated because, it's like that is so important. Why would my brain forget that? you know and then I'll remember something like really mediocre. It's like, oh, I remember that like to the T in details. And but it really just puts emphasis on neural pathways and different things of that nature. But being at home has been great in the sense that we've really had an opportunity to share a lot, to really get into each other, like like during this pandemic, or the quarantine especially. I've learned how to say I'm sorry. you know um, it's so important to be able to do it, and to do it, to just say I'm sorry. I think about some of the conflicts that I've had with family members prior to this, and when I go back and replay them in my mind, it's like, man, I could have dealt with that right at that moment. All I had to do was say I was sorry, and that would have been over. And it perpetuated for weeks and months, and on, because of my ego or masculinity, whatever, because I just couldn't say I was sorry. But now being in this situation where there's nowhere to run, so you're going to deal with it right now. And if you retaliate with some type of aggression, you're only extending it. We don't know how long we're going to be in quarantine. So what's the best way for me to end this now so that we can have a peaceful environment? I know. I'll just say I'm sorry. I'm sorry that I did that. I was having a bad day. I'm sorry that I did that. I was, or whatever the and then it's over. And I'm like, God, I've heard that how beneficial or advantageous it was to do that my whole life, and I never did it. And now, just to be able to do that. So if nothing else, I've elevated, evolved, and learned that particular trait, and it's wonderful. And then there's things that are just a reality that really bug you to death. You also become aware of those things, uh, man. And sometimes they're really little things, but they don't happen a lot when everybody's busy and going on about their business during the day, and you have limited amount of time to be together. Those things don't take place. You may notice them once a week, but then in this scenario, you're seeing them every day, and it's like, ah. So, uh, but for the most part, it has been great. We've all gotten so much closer through conflict, even, and I think it's a beautiful thing. And also, outside of the home, it really starts to give you a consensus of friends and family members that you really care about, because you have a longing to be in their presence. Whereas you may have, it was like, oh, that's so and so calling, I'm not answering, before, because you were taking all of those things for granted. So home life is great, it's awesome, and staying busy. I'm in the process now of not only, as the quarantine lessens and we move into these different phases, but I'm in the process of even getting back out into the workforce like full time, and so that's going to be really
Do you have any pets?
no.
If you did have, if you could pick a pet to be your familiar, like let's say you're going to be teaching at Hogwarts, and you needed to have a familiar. What do they call those in Hogwarts?
Oh,
like
I know
owl?
I know exactly what you're talking about, but it's supposed to be like a almost, I want to say almost like your alter ego. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't know the terminology.
Yeah, do you know what animal would you want to have for your?
Well, dogs I'm familiar with. I love. I've grown to really love dogs. When I was younger, I was fascinated with dogs because I was a kid and we didn't have an understanding. But the more I learn about humans and attributes that we have that are similar to animal traits, the more I really like dogs. I think dogs are really unique in the sense that as a species, they have really evolved into companions for humans.
Have you seen the show Red Dwarf?
No.
You said how dogs have evolved, and I know you said the rest of the sentence, but when you said evolve, I started thinking about the evolved dogs in the television show Red Dwarf. And there's a cat too. It's funny.
Well, I mean, because I think it would be kind of difficult. It's just like when we hear the story about the baby that was raised by wolves, and that's a story that they've redone it so many different. What's the Jungle Book or something like? And it's interesting, but just think about human attributes or human behaviors, and now you're being put in a scenario or an environment where they're pretty much obsolete. And then you have to adapt and evolve to be able to think like this pack if you are to survive.
Is there any question that you always wanted to ask a dog?
Yeah. Huh. Well, I was gonna say like the obvious, like why do they even deal with human beings? Which is really interesting, Deb, because when you think about like humans, we interact together, but it's taboo for one human to actually eat another human. That's cannibalistic. I mean, it's not normal.
Yeah.
It's very obscure. So, but dogs, on the other hand, as much as there are best friends and we welcome into our households and to our families, there are cultures that just plainly eat dogs. So and so as a dog, of course they don't communicate the way that we communicate. Like one dog in America is not going to pick up a phone and call a dog over in Asia and say, hey, what's happening? So they may not even be aware of it. But just the premise of that, like how can something be so sacred in one instance and be completely disregarded in the but from an abstract perspective, I guess that's how we are with each other, even as humans. Whereas we may not eat one another, but we still have things like racism to the degree that it's, torturous. And it's, so how can any particular person, and I'm not just talking about black, I mean just anybody, be treasured in one instance and then just totally regarded in another? So it's kind of it's horrible. But I would ask the dog why. And why do you deal with humans? Because a dog can live in the wild. You know, I mean, and it's not like they're at such a disadvantage in the wild even. I mean, they travel in packs and they can be pretty strong, and you know, and they come in all different types of. I could understand maybe what's the little dash hounds or the little chihuahuas.
Chihuahua.
Yeah, I could understand them saying, "Hey, dude, we can't survive out in the wilderness, you know, in the wild, even if there's 40 of us, you know. We need humans so that we can live this particular lifestyle that we live." Or
The question is, why do humans need little tiny dogs?
Companionship and convenience, because everybody don't have either the resources or the space to accommodate a big. I like big dogs. Now I'll just be honest with you.
I don't like the little dogs. I just want to kick them because they're always in my way. I'm going to trip over them. They're awful.
I like working dogs. I like a dog.
I want to go hiking with a dog.
Or a dog that will jump and grab somebody by the throat if need be.
Yeah.
I need something.
That's good
I mean,
too.
and like for me now, the trade-off is I will feed you. You will be a part of the family. I will make sure you have your own space. I'll do all of that stuff. I've never been into like taking a dog to the vet and different things of that nature because 90% of the time I couldn't go to the doctor. So if I don't go, you don't go. But that's another conversation. But I'm just saying, I will do all of those things.
If I could go to the vet, I would because it's a lot cheaper.
Right. Let me tell you this, that 20 years ago, I didn't think like that about animals, dogs or anything. And I was your typical kid, you know. I was fascinated with the difference, and it would have been far more entertaining to me to torture an animal, you know, like to burn an ant with a magnifying glass, as opposed to just observing the ant and see how it functions and being mesmerized by its ability to maneuver through its environment. So that just came with age, and I guess that's me.
That reminded me.
Hmm?
I never tortured any
I
animal.
shouldn't have used that word. You edit that out.
But this could be considered torture to the caterpillar.
Oh.
My dad, he worked at a shipping company, and they had sometimes shipments that would be damaged. And he brought home some race cars. They were the spring-loaded kind.
The wind up.
Yeah, only you wound them up like this, but they were big, like the size of my hand.
Oh,
and
wow.
And it was a really, really bad year for caterpillars.
They were all in the Indy 500.
They were all in the Indy 500. Yes, we and other neighborhood kids, we were racing them down the street, and then the caterpillars started falling off, and so I got some masking tape. I taped it on there.
So you call that NASCAR?
Yeah, the caterpillar races. That was fun. Yeah. We had some fun times when I was a kid.
Yeah. Well, that is kind of torturous, since that's probably not the natural state of a caterpillar, but not as bad as smashing them. But I'm pretty sure that's kind of like how they ultimately ended.
That's where they ended up anyway.
Yeah, I mean, because, you know, I mean, it's, I can't even believe we laughed. But yeah, I've done it, and I hope that the caterpillars and God both, because at this juncture, like, I have become so, you know, I used to do a joke when I did stand-up comedy about arthritis and how it's really a shame that before you truly get in tune with nature, you have to be at a certain age, because that's the one thing that arthritis will do. It will put you in tune with nature. Like, I know when the weather is about to change, when the seasons are about to change, a week or two before before you go to the counter and say, oh, first day of summer. Oh, I knew that 2 weeks ago, because my bones start telling me. My muscles start telling me. But I then thought about how in tune that we are naturally with nature. You know, you talk about circadian rhythms and sleep cycles and different. I mean, we are so in tune with nature, and these are things that we just kind of. So, with that being said, after years and years of kind of like thinking on that level, I've actually got to the point where like I don't even like to like just destroy a plant if not necessary. And you know, I mean, it's weird.
You know, I love spiders. When they're in my house, I just
Hmm.
leave them.
I don't love spiders like but I don't love spiders. I'm not afraid of spiders. My wife sees a spider, there's only one possible outcome for that spider.
Yeah.
That spider must die, and she's too afraid to kill it herself.
Oh.
So I am recruited to kill the spider, and it's like I don't really, you know, now I haven't got to the point where I'm going to capture the spider and then take it outside. I guess that would really
That would be a little strange.
yeah. So, you know,
Oh, you mean cap? You mean put it outside?
yeah, put it
Oh,
outside,
okay.
you know, like all right, you know, go
Okay.
free little spider.
Okay.
Which I'm thinking like if you see a spider in your home more than once, it's probably made that area that you see it in its home, you know, so you
Well,
know.
I think that we get a lot of spiders in our houses, and they're eating the bugs that we don't
Yeah,
want
well,
in there.
the cycle
They're
of
not
life.
hurting me.
I
They don't.
agree with you 100%.
They don't. Unlike other bugs, they don't fly around and get in my face.
But I think I've been bitten by spiders like at night.
Yeah, at nighttime. That's
I've,
the only time. That's because they crawl on us and we scratch it or something.
yeah, well, you
and-
feel something weird on your body
Yeah.
and you hit at it and it bites the
Yeah.
crap out of it. I mean, I don't think it's like trying to eat you,
No,
'cause-
no, it's a defensive
yeah,
bite.
but you know,
That's
and they
the
don't
only
know
time
they don't
you're
know it's
worried.
your bed. You know, it's just another area for. But yeah, and but even beyond that, I'm like dogs. I love dogs, and if I could pick a pet, it would be a dog.
But I wouldn't mind it if I had a cat, but I wouldn't really be that into it like a dog.
Yeah, if somebody like happy birthday and gave me a cat, I'd be like, thank you. But at the same time, I'd be like, what am I supposed to do with this? You know,
You know,
a cat.
the only downside is if you give me a cat, it's going to be dead within a minute because I have a pit bull.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And my
yeah.
pit bull, we adopted her when she was 8.5 years old.
Oh
and
really?
She doesn't like other animals,
Mm-hmm.
and she's a little old to train, and
Mm-hmm.
so we just avoid other animals.
Right. But you know, one thing about pit bulls, and I grew up around pit bulls and Rottweilers, you know, bigger dogs. To the outside populations, they're horrible.
I love Rottweilers. I think they're beautiful, and pit bulls, yeah,
But when
and
you know,
Dobermans too.
oh yeah, Dobermans, pit bulls, and Rottweilers was like the.
My client has a Doberman, and I was showing a house the other day.
Mm-hmm.
I went out the back door of the house, and they had their car parked in the back. And I looked, and there was this Doberman sitting in the driver's seat. And then when I went back in the house, I heard the horn honk.
Ha!
The dog,
Hey, bye-bye.
hey, come on, I'm waiting out here, you know.
Super smart. My brother raised Dobermans for a while, and during my teenage years, he had, you know, Dobermans, and they were the first dogs that my mother actually let like in the house, and it became part of the family. But you know, he was younger, and they were superior guard dogs, you know. And then later in life, he got into Rottweilers, and you know, and but for some odd reason, Rottweilers, Dobermans, pit bulls were like the common pets of all of the communities that I ever grew up in, because they're more protective, and you know, and I guess they have, you know, they present that sense of being protectors, and it caused a lot of fear. But I always was amazed at how friendly they could be. It's just like any other dog, but they just had this persona. You know, it's like Mike Tyson, being calmed down. You know, it's like Mike Tyson and yourself sitting down having a cup of coffee, or and just kicking it. You know, it's like, whoa, it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, Chuck.
Let me ask you this right quick. Do you camp a lot?
I enjoy backpacking.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. I heard you mention camping several times, and I was just kind of curious. But whenever I'm with you.
Yeah. All right.
So whenever you're
Yeah. Anyway, I just wanted to say thank you, Chuck, for
been,
spending this time with me. And
the pleasure has truly been mine, Deb. I know we've been trying to get together and do this for a while. I hope that someone finds it interesting or entertaining, and I hope that you can use it for your podcast or vlog. Is this going for the vlog or the podcast?
This is my YouTube channel.
Oh, YouTube channel. Okay, great. Well, awesome then. Well, make sure you guys go out and check What's Up, Chuck. It is on Facebook at the moment, and I do have some projects that I'm going to open up to YouTube, but I'll make sure that I send you the information and you can post it on and if anybody's interested in checking that out. But this has been great. It's been a lovely day. It's a beautiful environment. I've enjoyed it. And
yeah, it's my first time out to the park for a long time.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, thank you, Chuck.
Thank
Deb
you.
did that with Chuck Marlow.